What would a public defender do? Hello.
No, but you did. Oh, that's not working. But we are live there. Um,
Hello, YouTube.
thought
We're
I clicked.
live.
I thought I clicked start there. How come my encoder's not starting? Oh, there we go. So Brian was just talking about jury duty that he was on. How many years ago was this?
This would be the mid 80s.
Okay, and the point he was making was that the defendant they found in favor of the defendant because the evidence wasn't there, but that the defendant walked away with a $40,000 bill to his lawyer in 1980s dollars.
Correct. Yeah, right. Exactly.
And I raised the point that, well, it's a shame that we don't have like better public defense, and you made the point, well, if he used a public defender, he would have gone to jail, because you don't see how that defense would have laid it out. And I'm like, yeah, but the way the court works is the state goes first, so they laid out their case. Now you say that at the end of the day they didn't have enough evidence, so you saw what the prosecutor put up as their case, and you determined that there was not enough evidence in that case.
Right.
So if you take away the defense, what they came back with, and you look only at the prosecution, would basically someone had to point out, well, the evidence isn't there?
Okay, this was a case of sexual assault against a child.
Okay, a good way
And
to
the
start our show.
and the child, yes, and the
Ugh.
child testified of certain actions.
Okay.
Well, the prosecute the and the defense brought up other witnesses that said, no, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. It didn't meet the timeline that the defenders put together.
So the defense had to put up enough rebuttal, whereas a child making an accusation without other people to back up.
Well, okay, and let's go another way.
I
The
okay.
child had written notes in a diary, and the diary was the main evidence. And when the child was brought up to talk about the entries, she didn't deny that they were false. She didn't really say that they were true either. She just kind of said, yeah, that's what I wrote. And yeah, that's kind of what happened.
I see. So the defense really needed to come up with
A way to
contrary.
break the timeline for those diary entries.
Basically, it helped for them to prove that this timeline would not have been possible
Correct.
without that. But even without that, was there enough evidence to put him away? I mean, I guess if a kid makes an accusation that's so heinous, you want to make
But
sure that
here's what
is
the judge
justice is
did
served
not
there.
allowed.
Hmm.
This is what the judge did not allowed, and this was told to us by the defense attorney after we gave the verdict of not guilty, and that is, like the prior day, the girl had made statements about a teacher that performed sexual acts and other kids doing so. This, like, so there's this whole sequence of fantasies as far as we could tell,
So
but these were not presented at the trial.
that and that is a tricky thing when we got a call coming in.
Woohoo, Madison.
Yes, we do. We got Venison on the line.
Without that, but even without that, was there enough evidence to put him away?
Okay, thank you, Venison.
I guess if a kid makes an accusation that's so
Venison,
heinous,
this is where you turn the stream off and talk.
make sure
There we go.
No, I take it back. Put the stream back on. That's a quite noisy mic you got there, Venison. Are you broadcasting live from the cargo hold of an airplane?
Yeah, I forgot to turn that. I forgot to turn the mixture back into back in individual mode.
I see.
Now then, real quick, who is this trial against?
Yeah, who was it against, Brian? An uncle of this kid, or?
Well, let's put it this way. So
we walked in the middle of the story, but it's so fascinating.
This man and woman, got together, and dating, et cetera, and then they moved in together. The guy had at least one teenage son. The woman had, I believe, 2 daughters. The older daughter is the one that was,
so it was the boyfriend of the mother. I see.
Yeah, boyfriend of the mother.
And what age was she?
The girl, about 13.
I see. And I guess to me, what really sticks out to me, and I can kind of see the point you're making, but what stuck out to me was that you found that the evidence wasn't there, which means that the prosecutor did not have adequate evidence, but it took a defense to make that apparent that the evidence wasn't there. But it sounds to me like what really made it was that the defense was able to produce contradicting evidence, which then made the evidence that the prosecutor have not stand up on its own.
And part of it is, you are presumed innocent until proven guilty, and the defense took it to, let's throw enough doubt on there to get an acquittal.
But here's the scary thought to me. The scary thought to me is innocent until proven guilty, which means that the state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that there is guilt.
Correct.
And which would imply, if all things are working perfectly to that system, even without the defense, the prosecutor should not be able to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. If you find at the end of this that the evidence isn't there, the evidence is the evidence in a vacuum or with a defense against it. It should still not have been enough to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
There could have been a discussion, shall we say, behind closed doors between prosecutors and the cops and the social worker that brought these charges up. Yeah, she looked like a battle axe.
Uh-huh.
There could have been a discussion is, okay, so we got this. We're not really sure of this, but let's just throw this into the court and see what happens.
And, here's the thing.
Because if you get a conviction, this is a win for keeping kids safe.
No, it's not.
Which I admire. But from what I saw, this was not a good case.
And that's the thing. Prosecutors that prosecute bad cases, I think, is a problem. If the evidence wasn't there, then they should have all known that, we don't have a good case here, not to mention that the defense has a pretty good defense. It sounds to me like there are prosecutors that will prosecute and win cases that they know are bad cases. And that's the type of guy that I kind of question, how do you sleep at night? How do you sleep at night knowing that you're putting innocent people away for crimes they didn't do?
Well, that would make sense. However, in this world, in that particular case, when kids are involved and sexual assault is involved, they will prosecute anyway, and find that person guilty, no matter the circumstances or no matter how innocent or not guilty the person is. I've seen it happen 3 times.
Sure.
No case, absolutely no case against them. And even then, in one instance, the kid actually came up and said he lied, because he was jealous. about
Sure.
about
See, and that's what can happen with kids.
Right.
And that's what we thought about this girl. I think she found it easier to lie.
Yeah. And like I said, they get to get it admitted he lied. But my friend still ended up staying 6 months in jail because he didn't have any bail money and probably had to plead guilty to a lesser charge and be put in sexual offenders list.
Yeah.
Now tell me that they don't have enough evidence. But they'll do it anyway. And that's happened in quite a few cases.
Yeah, well, I have a lot of problems with our judicial system and our law enforcement system, but that's not what we really came here to talk about. We actually came here to talk about a little thing that we do here every week. And of course, that is our weekly show we call
Insert Title Here,
where we just talk about any things that are on our mind, which happen to be court cases this week, to open with anyways. But we also need to talk about plumbing and music, I think, and hookers.
Wait, plumbing?
And advertisers.
And advertisers, because Brian has advertising space, and we do not have a Fredericktown Yamaha Where the Fun Begins sign up there on your wall yet. What happened, Brian?
Not yet.
You had one job.
We got the committee to get together. The
committee.
artwork, the
Artwork,
the
okay.
legal team, the
Legal, yeah. We got to clear it with the legal team.
the deciders, and then you got that dude that didn't show up for the meeting.
Who didn't show up?
Oh, that was me.
That you had one job.
Yeah.
So we are taking applications for advertising on Brian's wall. So if Fredericktown Yamaha, Where the Fun Begins, is out there listening and would like to sponsor our show, we are not associated or affiliated with the Addie and Gabe Show. Never heard of those guys. So
Never heard of them.
No. So it's all good, clean fun here. No dead hookers to be found anywhere.
Where is Fredericktown?
Fredericktown Yamaha. It's in Frederick, Maryland.
Oh, in Maryland. Okay, I didn't
Yes.
even know what state.
Yeah.
I thought everything was in New Jersey, right?
Well, no, but Gaddy and Gabe are in Frederick, Maryland, and that's where they did their AM. They took their show. They decided this whole internet radio, that's not the direction that radio's going in. AM is where it's at. So they took their show to an AM Christian station, and they were sponsored briefly by Fredericktown Yamaha, Where the Fun Begins. And so...
A Christian station?
Oh, yeah. It was great fun when Addie was talking about how he's an atheist and thinks that everyone who believes in Jesus are fools. Which was the program director made them play only religious advertising the following show. It was great fun. I could die happy now knowing that I live in a world where the Addie and Gabe Show lived for a period of time on a Christian AM station. It was a station that evolved beyond strictly Christian programming to community programming. So as members of the community that had a radio show, they convinced the program director that they would fit right in there. And they were right after the gardening show and right before the car show. And I don't know how well they fit in there.
So Dune asks on Twitter,
yes,
do I have a color printer in your home? You mean in the studio, of course, he meant.
In the studio. Yeah.
Yes, in the studio. And the answer is yes, but I probably have to get some more, inkjet.
The inks are probably all dried up on that.
Oh, yeah, because I hardly use it.
Ah.
If I were to replace it, I would go get a laser color printer, but I'm too cheap, right?
Brian, if you still worked at Tharco, you could just go, take the artwork file and swing by Jose's desk, and he'd print out a nice big banner for you.
Now, so my mom has been into coloring, so I was thinking of getting the letters and just have outlines of the letters and take them to my mom to color them.
Oh, that would be so sweet. That would be that'd be
That's
the
right.
cutest thing ever. Brian's mom coloring the
And
advertising.
so
to
what
put
I
on
would
his-
do is I print out all the letters in individual sheets, right?
Right. There you
Mix
go.
them up and give them to my mother so she doesn't know what I'm really writing, right? And have them colored.
Make sure that the F and the U and the C and the K don't
That's
show up
correct.
anywhere
They're
near
all-
one another.
Yeah, that's right, because that's definitely going to be part of it.
Yes. Now I do want to do a little. Every now and then something funny happens on a show that is funny enough to get me to pull up audio and clip it out. And yesterday's show on the Dune and Bob show was one of those shows. So for those that missed it, at the beginning of the show, Dune took a moment to go over the list of topics that he put together for the show, and this beautiful exchange took place during that.
What was it I said we were going to talk about? Let's just read that verbatim. What did I have? Let's see. I had today on the Dune and Bob show scaffolds,
Okay.
plumber's crack,
That's normal. That's what I was smoking yesterday.
plumber's crack, my Cox, internet,
hmm?
my Cox, internet.
Your cocks and the dead hookers. Yes.
Well,
We
no,
understand
hookers
this.
come after my Cox. It's
Thank you, dude.
No, that's not fair. Let's start over again. Run the tape. Roll the tape. That is not right. Oh man. Why do I do this to myself? This is the way it
Nice.
works.
So there you go. The hookers come after Dune's Cox is what happens.
Absolutely.
You heard it
So then
live.
also, Dune tweeted, "Can you put a static photo on that monitor behind you?" Sure.
Oh, well, that's running Linux, right? So we might have to get
Yeah.
a team of elitists to figure out how to do it.
No, not elitist. Elitist pricks. Let's get it
Elitist pricks. Yes. Okay. My apology. I was trying to be polite since, you might be one of those elitist pricks that are running that machine.
right. No, it's,
So
I'm on a Raspberry Pi board. Raspberry Pi board on Facebook, and people all ask all kinds of questions, and you can tell when the students are coming up with a project because they're posting them for the full answer on Facebook, and they're getting all kinds of shit for it. And anybody that asks a simple question, the answer is Google it, and there's also a website here. Let me Google that for you.
yeah, that has the animation that you type
Right.
it in and it prints it's a
Right,
button. And I love that link. That's a great link.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, so whatever. Why don't you just post the link and make it simple? I mean, when you Google something, you don't get the right answer the first time. You
No.
have to keep looking, change your search term, looking more, see if that makes sense to you.
Right.
Is this gonna have everything you need?
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
kind of go, well, Adafruit has a project like that. Why don't you just use their site? There's all
Right.
kinds of places, people to learn how to get into to real resources rather than ask some Facebook group on where to start. I don't mind helping a guy. Just give me a little.
Yeah.
Give me more a little.
Anyways, speaking of projects and working on things and asking for advice. Now, Brian, you own 2 homes currently.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
And you've owned other homes before those homes.
Yes.
I mean, how many houses have you been through?
So this is house number 4,
okay.
and the other house is number 5.
I see. So you had 3 houses before that house,
Yeah.
and I take it one was in Denver,
One was in Denver. Yep.
one might have been in Texas,
Yep.
and one in Connecticut.
We were briefly in California before we went to Texas. So
Ah,
it was
okay.
Denver, California, Texas, and then back to California.
I see. Where in California last time around?
Next town over.
Ah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in all those years of
In
home,
fact, the odd thing is when we came back, that house was for sale again. And I talked to the guy that I sold it to and says, "Hey, did you want to buy your house back?" We kind of thought we'd want to go for something different. I liked that house. Don't get me wrong, but
you probably
we have
had
too much shit now, so
you had a
we
better
don't fit
budget.
it in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been fine if it came with an expansion. Yeah. And Venison, you've owned a home, and so as a team of like people who are familiar with home ownership, Brian, how much plumbing have you done in your time?
Well, I was all enthusiastic about doing plumbing when I was in Denver.
Okay, all right. So you
did a bunch of stuff.
Okay, so what about you, Venison? You do any plumbing?
Well, I had a plunger, maybe sink a couple of times.
A plunger?
A plunge. Okay, that's a
right.
that's a start.
That comes right next to the power drill.
Next
to the power drill, right?
Right next to the power drill. The plunger and the power drill, because if the plunger don't get the clog out, the power drill will. No, I'm in house number 1, and since the day I moved, and this house came with a feature that's been here since the first day, and that is this lovely piece of pipe that's in my basement right there, and everything froze. Am I still connected?
Yep.
Oh, good. Okay, so
Yep.
Venison's sound just went
And
away.
I see the picture.
Yeah.
No, didn't.
Oh, your background noise went away. You actually sound like normal.
Human.
Yeah, I found out that I don't know how that happened, but found out the microphone plug was slightly out.
Yeah. Well, that would explain why you were in a cargo hold of an airplane.
Now, in your yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, in this picture, can you zoom in a little bit?
Not really. Maybe
So you're saying your viewer sucks.
Well, I'm basically, these are pictures I sent to Dune and Messenger, and so I'm just bringing them up there. So the Messenger's not letting me zoom.
Yes, the
you would be right that
visual
sucks.
thing sucks.
The visual thing sucks. I could run down to the basement, bring up the actual piece of pipe I cut out, if you want to see it up close on my camera.
Oh, sweet.
You'd have to talk for a few minutes.
I know. Venison and I would be talking the whole time, right?
Oh,
Right,
there
Venison?
Well,
I think mostly Brian would.
you can talk. I'm sure you both got plunger stories you can tell. All right, I'm gonna go grab the pipe just because.
Okay, so Venison, when was the last time you used the plunger?
He's going to do that. That was
Yeah.
the last time before I moved out of the house, and the clog got so bad. The plunger was only able to get rid of just a little bit of it. It was it was just after the kitchen, somewhere in between the kitchen and the basement, and I couldn't get anything down there.
Oh, so that's time to get a big old snake.
Thing was, the hole, for the kitchen pipe was too small for the snake.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah. So you
That's
have
good.
to basically go in from the bathroom, with a really long snake.
Wow.
Oh, well.
Now,
But
did
I didn't
you-
have any
did you
money
end up-
then.
Oh, and so you couldn't even hire anybody.
Nope.
Yeah, because I had a problem where I had a clog between what the hell they call it, the flush out opening at the outside the house to the street. So essentially the stretch from the house to the street was clogged by roots from a tree, and so the guy used this snake that had a mechanism that would turn it, so it would, like Roto-Rooter, would cut the crap out. And he yanked out this big old hang of root that was like a rat, even with a tail. It was nasty.
Oh, yeah. We had to do the main drain down the basement out to the street because of that. We have roots, a lot of roots and cement. because the pipe frame
Ooh.
finally caved in.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's really bad.
That is what was in the basement there. And
Okay, so he's got this pipe. I gotta visually describe it. He's got this pipe. It's copper, right?
yes, it was copper. I don't know
Well,
how.
I mean, the core of it is copper,
Yeah, there's still
but
copper
it's got
there.
all this blue corrosion on it. I'm guessing that it was leaking, and that's a junk
No.
in the middle.
Blue?
Well, these are two connectors. So this has been this stretch of pipe's been repaired before, is what I'm gathering from these two connectors. But yeah, it's more it's greenish bluish.
Yeah,
And,
greenish bluish, right?
It was not leaking yet. It actually had not reached the point of
Really?
now Dune has corrected me to say that, oh yeah, it was leaking, but it kind of fixed itself. That's what the corrosion is.
Oh, because the corrosion just sealed up the leak.
Yeah, I never saw I never saw a drop come out of this pipe. I never saw water on the floor
So
underneath
why did you
this
replace
pipe
it again?
because it looked like this and was because when you see something like this, you don't wait for it to leak. You get it out of there. And it's been like that for like 7 months now. Or like
Okay,
yeah.
So you cut off both ends,
Right.
had another piece of pipe and the two connectors you needed, and just popped it in there.
Well, you would think it'd be so easy, but and that would have been all that would be involved if these were just pipes for displaying, and not for holding water. But the thing is that if you cut a pipe with
That's right. You have to drain that pipe first.
yeah. So I did looking online on how to sweat a pipe, and you can find all kinds of videos that show you, and it's I mean, even doing it. Here's the thing: Dune wanted me to like cheat and buy like one of those like sharp bite type of things that you just slide on there, and I was like, oh no, I'm going to do this old school. I may as well learn to do this right. I've been watching videos, so I figured phase one, we turn off the water main. So there's the water main right there. So I know how to turn off water to the house. That's good. Phase two. We turn off the furnace, and I see that there's a spigot on the furnace there that I could hook up a hose to. And I figure if I hook up a hose of that and I open that up, that should drain water out of the system. And I just wait for water to stop coming out, and that means everything's drained, right? I think so.
Sounds good to me.
It sounds good to me too. Now, as I was reading online, everything I read online, also part of that phase was going to be running the hose out the back steps to the outside from the basement, because I got a door to the outside in the basement. So there we go.
And water flows easily uphill.
When there's water pressure, yes.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So the thing is, though, is that everything I read online about draining a water heating system before repairing a pipe talked about finding release valves to turn to, I guess, bleed air into the system so that the water will drain out. And I'm checking like everywhere on this heat system, and there ain't no valve anywhere on this thing. There's no screw to turn. There's nothing. I got none of that. I checked every inch of pipe going through.
Not near the furnace?
Not well. That's the thing. I think it's all done from the furnace. But then again, I only figured out how to put water in, not drain all water out. I still don't know how you're supposed to drain all the water out of this. But I found a way. I decided I was determined to do this, whether or not I was prepared. And so I decided I would just do that. I would drain as much as I can. And I figured I'll buy a few buckets along with all the supplies that I buy at Lowe's. And I'll put a bucket under the pipe. And if I cut the pipe and water comes out, I got a bucket there to catch it. And I got a second bucket to replace the first bucket with while I go empty the first bucket outside. And, worst case scenario, I just need to move some buckets back and forth while I wait for water to stop flowing.
Wait a minute. You went to Lowe's rather than Home Depot?
Well, Lowe's is closer.
Yeah, but Lowe's is the assholes that closed Orchard Supply Hardware because they could.
I don't live in Ocean Supply Hardware's territory anymore, so I don't care. But if I do that,
you
Well.
bastard, you
if I
bastard.
do that, I would have gone to Home Depot. My
Oh,
apologies,
okay.
Brian.
See, we didn't talk about that before, did we?
Yeah, Ocean Supply Hardware has fallen off my radar. So yeah, my bad. I've completely lost track of them as a store. So
Well, everybody's going to be after a while because they're all closed now,
yeah, that's a shame. That sucks.
and they
So-
only owned Orchard Supply Hardware for 2 years.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
See, here's the conspiracy theory. Okay,
Hmm. Okay.
so let's go back several years. Orchard Supply is an independent, smaller hardware chain.
Which is where I usually shopped when I was in California because they had a better supply of stuff.
Some of the other Western states, and I believe Florida as well.
Hey, if this is going to be a
Anyway.
conspiracy theory, what about the music?
Well, let's wait. Let's wait and see where he's going.
So several years ago, I'm guessing they weren't in great shape, so they were easy to buy, and Sears decided that they would buy or Osh.
Sears was going to buy
Sears.
Osh.
And they did.
Okay.
And you would think that they would make a go of it. The only good thing is they pretty much left Osh alone, with the exception that Craftsman tools replaced the other tools that Osh was carrying.
Okay. All right.
Craftsman tools are good. In fact, that's not a bad thing.
Very good.
And then, this is probably about 4 years ago, Sears spun off Osh to be independent again with private equity.
Okay. All right.
But something weird happened, and they went through a bankruptcy cycle. Who knows what the hell that
Sears
was
or
about?
Osh?
Osh. Well, Sears is a different problem.
Okay, so this is
So,
not Sears's bankruptcy.
Osh went through a little bankruptcy cycle. Who knows what that was about? Someone goofed up, didn't know how to do the numbers right. And they were kind of struggling along through that. It seemed like they were doing okay. And then, about 2 years ago, Lowe's bought Osh. Okay, maybe that's a good thing. Bigger company, that'll keep things going.
They'll turn them all into Lowe's, is what they'll really do if long
Well,
term.
you
if
would
they're gonna...
think, possibility.
Yeah,
But then
um,
again, Lowe's doesn't sell Craftsman. Only Osh does. So you're figuring behind the scenes, and this is where the conspiracy comes in, they're figuring out how to connect up with Craftsman because, oh yeah, the other thing that happened is that Craftsman was also spun off by Sears. This is Sears trying to...
So this is Lowe's was in it
Sears trying
for
to save themselves.
so Lowe's was in it for the tools.
Correct. And then, as soon as they announce that they're pulling the plug on Osh, then Lowe's now carries Craftsman.
So they bought and closed a whole chain of hardware stores just to get the Craftsman's tools in their stores.
That's how the thing goes. Did you see any Craftsman tools while you were in Lowe's?
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
right.
a dick move.
Brian, you think, do I look like the type of guy that's looking at the brand name on those tools?
Well,
You should be.
I was hoping for.
I was looking at the
Some
price tags
clarification.
on those
Well,
tools.
I mean, yeah, price tags will
I
count.
couldn't tell
It
you.
depends on what you're looking for, right?
Every screwdriver looks like a Craftsman screwdriver to me. I'm just. No,
Not Stanley.
Stanley Craftsman, they're not the same thing. I thought like Stanley Craftsman was his first and last name.
One bends easier
Well,
than the other.
in a way, they are the same thing because they're probably actually made in the same Chinese factories.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because these brand names don't make shit anymore.
They're just names.
That's correct.
All right. Anyways, let's get back to the fixin' and get away from the conspiracy theories. So yeah, that sucks. I'll have to shop at Home Depot now because I like Dosh. So I like I said, I had my buckets. I went and I bought pipe and pipe cutter and a kit that came with a blowtorch, propane tank, solder, and flux. and a flux brush. So that had a lot of what I needed. The pipes, the connectors. And I needed a snow shovel and a push broom. So I picked those up too while I was there. And I get my supplies home, and I laid down my buck. I discovered a brilliant scam that someone pulled involving copper pipe. Because Doom pointed out that, they probably had the cameras in that aisle with the copper pipe, which I wasn't casing the joint, so I wasn't paying attention. I'll take his word for it there. That makes sense.
Or you weren't stuffing the pipes in your pockets.
No, I was not stuffing pipes in my pants. But I picked up, they had the pipe in 5-foot lengths and 10-foot lengths, and I didn't need 10 feet of pipe. So I picked up a 5-foot length of pipe, and I put it in the cart. And as I'm going to get to the register, I started arranging all the things in my cart with the barcodes pointed out to make it easy for the cashier. And that's why I noticed that I picked up a length of 5-foot pipe, that the barcode was worn off, but the numbers on the barcode label were still legible. But I saw there was no way that was going to scan. And I was kind of bummed about that. I actually considered walking back to the other side of the store to swap it for a pipe.
One that could probably scan, yeah.
Right. But it was, all the way over down there. I wasn't, and the line was long to begin with, but not that long. That was all the way down there. So I was like, whatever, she'll type it in, So I go in the line. I get up there, and I'm like, I don't think it's going to scan. It doesn't scan. So she keys it in, or I thought she keys it in, and it rings up for $20 for the pipe. And I'm thinking, that doesn't sound right, but it's a long line behind me. I'm like, I'll let me look at this when I get to the car. So I run my credit card through. I sign the thing. I grab my receipt. I go out to the car. I'm putting everything in the car. I look at the receipt, and the receipt says 10 foot of copper pipe. And I look at my 5-foot piece of copper pipe, and I look at the 10-foot description on the receipt. I pull my tape measure out of my pocket. I measured the pipe to make sure I remembered correctly, and that I don't suck that bad at vision. And 5 feet of pipe. It measures out 5 feet exactly.
Let me ask a quick question in here. Was it a male or a female that was at the register?
Female, but that doesn't matter.
Maybe that's what she was hoping for, was a 10-foot pipe.
This time I wasn't ready for that. That's pretty wacky, Brian.
Insert core crash clip here.
All right. So anyways, I bring the pipe and the receipt back into the store because I'm looking at this in the parking lot. And I'm like, you know what? At $7 is $7, because it was like $20 for the 10-foot, but 13 for the 5. I'm like, I'm going to, it was the principle of the matter that kind of pissed me off. I figured that instead of keying in the barcode, she looked up the item and somehow
grabbed the wrong one or something.
Yeah, and selected 10 instead of 5 foot, which so that's what I thought had happened. So I go in there, and they got a line at the customer service desk. I'm waiting on the line, and some guy's asking, "You here for a pickup?" I'm like, "No, I got a problem with this pipe." He goes, "Well, returns is that line." I'm like, well, it's not really a return. Well, I guess it's a return and rebuy. Okay, whatever. So I had to go onto another line. I wait on that line. And at this point, lines are moving so slow at the customer service counter that the store manager came behind the counter and was helping things out. So he was within earshot. So this guy that was not listening basically sees me holding a receipt, holding a pipe, and immediately assumes it's a return. So at this point, he ignored every word that came out of my mouth because I explained to him this rang up as a 10-foot length of pipe, but it's a 5-foot length of pipe. I'd like, to need to put the difference on my credit card, and ring it up properly. Oh, okay. Yeah, please sign here. And then he walks away with the pipe and puts it over in the go backs. And then he looks at me like, why are you still here? I'm like, I still want the pipe. He goes, well, you said you wanted to return the pipe. No.
Did he charge you? Did you go back as a 10-foot pipe?
Yeah, I would have actually, because it turns out what that was a piece of pipe that used to be 10 foot, was sold as 10 foot with a 10-foot barcode on it that someone cut in half and returned the half as a 10-foot pipe, got a full refund, and then it got put back on the shelf with the 5-foot lengths of pipe. And that is how you get a free 5 foot length of pipe from Lowe's. Don't you do that. You did not. This is not me telling you how to scam Lowe's. This is me telling
Lowe's
you.
Getting you to pay for their problem.
Well, that's not what their intent was. They didn't realize the mistake until I pointed it out to them. And at that point, they basically said, well, what we could do is we could just, override this in the system and I'll sell it to you for $10. Does $10 sound good? Will you do 10? Yes, that sounds great. Okay, thank you. So I actually got a deal out of the whole thing. I got a 13.
You should have gone for $7. But your big mistake is that you walked out of there from the register, completed the transaction, because you just doubled your whole effort.
Right. Well, I my first thought was, yeah, I guess that's right. But it wasn't until I was kind of like got out in the parking lot.
It didn't really sink in until later.
Yeah, it sunk in.
I get that. That happened.
Yeah, it was that type of a thing. I wish I caught it late there, but then I think if I did that, the cashier would have been confused. Well, this is what the barcode is on this pipe. And then, I would have been holding up the line while she's, sending someone back.
10-foot pipe, and this ain't 10 feet.
Right.
Should have walked the distance and got the real barcode.
They only had 2 registers open, so I would have held up that whole register with the long line while they sent someone.
Problem.
Well,
they're the guys that only have 2 goddamn registers open.
Well, basically, I'd still have to be standing there waiting around for them to fix this transaction. I just stood around and waited in an area that was meant for fixing things. So I'm okay.
Like I said, you should have gone and got back to the proper pipe with the proper barcode.
Well, that was the first mistake that he made.
If I had done that in the beginning, I would have avoided all of this. Or I would have picked up another length of a 10-foot pipe that was cut in half and returned as a 5-foot length of pipe. Because who knows how often the scam is being run. Don't you do it. Don't you do this. I did not tell the story so that you could know how to scam Lowe's. I told the story
I met
so
a guy,
you could know not to be that guy.
I met a guy in the probably about 1980. He told me that he had worked at a grocery store before the scanners, and he kept a broom next to the register. And he was making commission. Every customer that walked through bought that broom. Of course, they're not taking it with them because they're not know that they're being charged for it. If someone spots it, wait a minute, what's this broom? It says, yeah, isn't this yours? So you would totally get away with it, right?
Oh, that is awful. That is absolutely awful.
He was that broom making people pay for that broom at every transaction.
And this was a thing that he was getting commission for that particular broom? I mean,
well, he was just getting commission on the totals. So every little bit adds up.
Usually a cashier doesn't work on commission.
Well, not anymore. Probably because of him.
Something doesn't add up in that story, but I'll take your word for it.
No, well, this is early on. At one point, apparently. I never knew a guy that's a clerk at a grocery store making commission, but this is what he said. Of course, maybe he just had a good story.
I don't know. There's something missing there, but okay. All right.
He didn't seem to feel guilty about it.
No, that guy's a dick.
Yeah.
I bet you that's the guy that cut the pipe in half and returned the half for full price.
That's a 10-foot one, huh?
Yeah. 10-foot dick. So anyways, I got my pipe, my supplies, I got home. And so it was now time for phase 2, cut the damn pipe and hope for the best. And so here's how that worked out. So I get my pipe cutter and I move it around and around a few times. And a nice, steady, solid stream of water started coming out into the bucket that I laid down on the floor. And I stood back and admired my handiwork, and I said, this is perfect. I could just leave it like this until water stops coming out of there. Isn't this worked out absolutely perfectly? That because the point is I needed to drain the system, but if I drain it, the way that it's designed to be drained, or if I drained it out of a hole in the pipe I was taking out anyway into a bucket, both ways accomplish my goal. So this was good. And sure enough, at some point it started to pick up speed, and I got worried because it was like, oh my God, it's going to blow. And I actually sent a panic message to doing it's getting faster. And all of a sudden it slowed down and stopped. And then it dribbled, and then it stopped. And then it dribbled, and then it stopped. It did that for a while. So at some point it slowed down enough that
let me ask you this. So you cut off this section of pipe. How much old pipe is still on each side in distance? Approximately.
Well, a lot. Because, I mean...
Length of the house?
Well,
I couldn't find house, but I'm working on adding more local businesses.
Thank you, Alexa.
How did she know?
Well, keep in mind, this is a length of pipe that is connecting to baseboard radiators. And there's pipe in the radiators, and then there's pipe that connect those to other points of the house. So pipe like this goes around the house.
Oh, well, let me restate the question. What's the difference between where you cut the pipe and the next junction?
I don't know.
6 feet?
Maybe. Maybe about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at least you have to have it drained, so those sections have to be kind of drained out.
Yeah.
There'll be water in other pipes around
the
system.
Right. But gravity,
as long as those are dry, you're good.
Right. Yeah. I kept going until water stopped flowing. I had paper towels. I tipped the pipes down and water came out some more, and then I tipped them back up, and so water wasn't coming out. And I dried everything off with paper towels. And as you can see here, here's where I actually cut open one side and had water just kind of freely pouring out from there. And that was, filling. And my bucket didn't even come close to being halfway full. It didn't even come up to a quarter full. So I even though water was coming out for a while, it was not amassing all that much. So I was in really good shape there. And let's see. Here we are with my you could see we got one end of the pipe here, the other end of the pipe up here, and this side is dangling down more, of course.
Because the left side has a hanger that's holding it
no, I think it's just this was closer to where it was going up there, whereas this had more length, so gravity was doing more work here. It's just how it worked out.
So the right side was employing Newton.
Yeah.
And the other guy was I don't have a good whatever.
I don't know.
Was seeing the hooker.
He was so at this point Dune asked me what my game plan was if I was going to use a shark bite. And I said, well, I didn't get that much water in my basement. I mean, that'd be pretty bad if I had sharks swimming around in my basement. So instead of answering Dune, no, I'm going to solder it. I just let this picture do the talking. So this is what Dune sees pop up on his phone, and I think Dune may have shouted some what the heck type of. I don't think I have the Dune what the fuck sound effect. That's too bad. That would have worked out really good right about now. But yeah. That's the picture I said. As you can see, I have everything I need here. I got a blowtorch, and that's the thing to start the blowtorch. My two connectors, a tub of flux with the flux brush and solder, and a length of copper pipe, and a fire extinguisher just in case.
Right. And an emergency number to the fire department.
Yeah, it starts with
that's
9.
on his phone.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a nice little revenge piece for you.
Oh, okay.
Because when I left the house, not only was there that clog between the kitchen and the basement, there were a couple other things too. One, the hot water pipe to the shower was clogged and wouldn't work. The sink would work fine, but not the shower. Oh, great! Then there was the toilet. Oh, after 2 years of winter, I guess the pipe must have busted or something, because when I went to use it the first time after 2 years and, put some water in the tank and flushed it, I noticed there's some water dripping out of the kitchen ceiling. Oh, great. Well, that kills that idea. That's why we had to use the portable one. Now then there's the ultimate one. The furnace pipes. The ones that run underneath the basement floor, cement basement floor. Apparently, they were also rotted out again after 15 years. Had to be replaced, as well as a little glass, viewing port, that showed the water level. That was also leaking, and washered, and the glass was cracked. Oh, they will have a fun time replacing all the plumbing in that house. And says, "This is what you take it away from me. This is what you got." Yeah, you take it away from me. This is what you're going to have to do. Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, and that tree in the backyard that I was saying that you better get rid of that, or else they apparently didn't get rid of it in time. Because the last picture I've seen of the house of them destroying it, pretty much. I look way in the backyard. Well, they ripped out all of the plant life in the front yard and the side of the house. All the bushes,
well, it was a
trees,
jungle.
everything.
Yeah, that needed to be done.
It was not.
I barely found your house when I came there because of the jungle.
Well, yeah, because of the jungle.
I encountered a tiger at one point halfway to your house from the street.
Yeah, but still, when it's all trimmed up, it's very nice looking. It's beautiful. The thing is, like I said, you had that one big ass tree in the back that was all filled with middle because the middle was eaten out of it and was cracking. I said, you got to get rid of that thing fast. And, apparently they delayed. All the storms came through and the tree was gone. I noticed also there was a big ass hole in the fence to the neighbor's yard.
Oh, so it didn't even help them tear down the house. That's
No, they didn't tear down the house. They had to do a lot of reconstruction because of the hole in the roof and the water damage in my bedroom and the dining room.
Not to mention the other damage on the fluid damage on the walls in your bedroom.
Just that one piece.
Yes,
one section. But even better, and this was the part I couldn't believe. They tore off the front porch, that enclosed front porch. They tore it off. They completely removed it, and there was nothing there but a front door, with no steps. I was like, what the fuck they do that for?
Well, that's phase one.
So they were repairing.
Maybe they determined that the porch was rotted out or something like that.
No, a cement porch, with with aluminum and screen.
Well,
it was
yeah.
Yeah, it was a beautiful porch. You could sit out there in the summertime, catch a breeze. And it's like relax on the couch and be like, ah.
So, anyways, unlike your porch, I was able to salvage something out of this, and new piece of pipe went in. Clean all my ends with the wire brush. Put flux on the ends of everything. Slided everything into the connectors. Got the blowtorch to fire up. Heated up my connectors. Touch solder. Goes all the way around. Sucks in all my connections. Everything was looking good. I even bought a piece of foam to cover up the new length of pipe, because there was foam to the left of the section, there was foam to the right of the section, but there was no foam over the actual problem section, which means who knows what other green spots are hiding underneath the foam all over this basement. But I don't know. Maybe I should just take all the foam off of all the pipes one of these days and check everything and then refoam everything. I don't know. But anyways, once all was said and done, there we go. Finished job. nice new black piece of foam covering up the new piece of pipe that is not leaking. And I turn the furnace back on. I turn the water and the furnace back on, and furnace starts firing up. And I put my hand on the pipe. The pipe starts getting warm. That means warm waters are flowing through there. And Dune was still looking at the picture with the blowtorch and the fire extinguisher. And he wrote back, "Call me real quick." And I called him up. I said, "All done." And he's like, well, he wanted to warn me that I need to make sure that the pipe was completely dry since there was water flowing out of there recently. Because if there was any water still in that pipe, it wouldn't heat up enough for the solder. And but that wasn't a problem. And like I said, I dried up with paper towels, and probably when I put the torch on it to get things all nice and warm, it probably, if there was anything on there, it was drops that would have just, evaporated under the heat of the torch. So
I can't remember what I was working on, but this was in Denver. But I was probably putting in a new junction to put in a new pipe, and this is the main water rather than, the heating system. This is just water, hot and cold, to sinks. And it was situated in the basement such that it wasn't easy to get the water out of there. And the water ended up being too close to the junction, so it was virtually impossible to heat up the solder enough, to get a good solid solder.
Oh, that sucks.
And I don't remember how I solved that, but it was tricky. I says, okay, I got to get this water out of here. And so that's what I did. But I can't remember what I did. I just remember that there was that issue.
Right. Yeah, you got to get the water out of there. So now the other thing was, though, is that when I was on the phone with Dune, he started talking about, well, what about getting water back in the system? Because that's a closed loop. That doesn't tie into your tap. I mean, it comes from the water main through the furnace, and the furnace heats the water, it goes to your tap, but it's its own closed loop. And if the water you took out of there is going to be air that's in there now. And I'm thinking, basic physics, like, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, shit, what am I going to do? And I'm like, well, there is water running through. So I was like, maybe it fixes that on its own. Maybe that. But I knew there was water flowing through it, though, since the pipe was warming up and the house was warming back up. So, but I did some research online, and I found like YouTube videos that actually match up to what I see on my furnace. And what I figured out was that there's actually a way to do that. I still don't know how I could bleed all the water out of the system, but I did find guides on how I can bleed air out of the system. And that was done. Let me see if I can see everything that's relevant here. I'm gonna share the picture of my furnace again. Now there's a spigot down here in the bottom, but there's also a spigot up higher. Here's a lever, and there's a spigot above this lever, and basically this is where water comes out of the heating loop to come back into the furnace to be reheated before going back out through the loop to heat the house. So if you flip this lever, you basically cut off that loop, and there's a spigot above that lever. So that's where you would get water out. And I guess the way it works is that water pressure will push water through the loop to push the water out of the loop. So you basically just got to turn off your furnace. There's also valves for each zone of the house that have a switch to set it to automatic, which basically means the furnace opens it up or closes it, or you could set it to be on. And so basically I turn off both thermostats and set them to be manually on one at a time to refill each, burp each loop one at a time. And, flip this lever to close it off, have a hose on the spigot there, open up the spigot, and water pressure just pushes through the loop, and you get air that kind of spits out, and you just wait until you don't get any more air coming out, and then you got a full loop. So yeah, that was I still don't know how I would have gotten it to drain all the water out, because if I turn the water main off and I close this off and I open up that spigot, I mean, water might come out, but it's not going to suck all the water out. I mean, I guess this point is lower than the pipes in the loop, so maybe gravity would pull it all out and bleed it. I don't know. That might be something to try next time I need to fix a pipe. But at least I know now that, hey, I can cut a pipe and catch the water with a bucket. That's no big deal. And I can bleed the air out of the system. That's no big deal. Oh, and also this little lever here increases water pressure so that you could, push more water into the loop faster. And, this gauge has the pressure on there, which doesn't even come close to 10. And, so I didn't see any pressure issues over here. So yeah, I now know a whole lot more about plumbing and how the plumbing works in my house than I did before this weekend started. So woohoo, home ownership.
Yes, sir.
The internet is good.
Yes, it is. Now if I could just get this good at electrical, I'd be all set.
Oh, the living room circuitry. They're going to have fun with that too.
Yeah.
There's a short circuit in there.
Replace the plugs.
There's a short circuit in there somewhere. I haven't been able to find it yet. Oh well, their problem.
Their problem now. Yep, someone else's problem. Well, wait. So
I love revenge.
So who's doing the work on the house now? Someone that's looking to flip it, or someone that's looking to fix it up for themselves?
With some, property management place.
Oh,
they bought the defaulted loan.
So they're probably going to
from the
rent it
guy.
out.
From the guy who first, bought it out without my knowledge. And once I told him, without me knowing that he did it, I told him that, see if I can try my best to stay here. I don't want to give it up. There's got to be some way to save it. And it turns out, he bought the back taxes, put out a loan out, to do whatever repairs.
And then he defaulted on that.
And he defaulted on that.
And so someone bought his bad loan.
Yeah, so this company, bought his bad loan stuff. Came out total between taxes and that loan, $190,000. I'm not going to be able
to. The neighborhood go for.
At the time when, the last appraisal, when my father died, that was $230,000.
Yeah, but the house needs about $240,000 worth of work.
Sure.
No, it doesn't need that much. Probably a good $60,000.
Just the VHS tape removal alone would have been $10,000.
That's right.
The removal of stuff that was left behind. Oh, that would have been great. All that stuff.
As we're getting stuff out of my parents' house, that they couldn't move to the assisted living place. So we had couches, we had tables, we had bed, whatever.
Yep.
So we talked to all these outfits to donate this stuff to. And we finally got one that says, yeah, we can come pick up your stuff, but we don't take anything that has a fabric on it. So, no, we're not going to take your couch. We're not going to take your bed. The only thing we'll do is take the wooden tables and chairs and that sort of thing.
They want wood.
So, but that helped. Got rid of some of the stuff. And there were some shelves. We kind of gave them everything that we could think of, which was cool. That didn't cost us a dime. But the rest of the stuff, we had to pull in the junk guy and have him load up the truck.
Oh, God.
And that was a few $100.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that does suck.
No, this sucked, man. All that stuff in the house, the lab, all the electronic equipment, the libraries, the bedrooms.
At some point, as I empty that house, someone has to find a thermos.
Yeah, I was thinking of that.
and what do you do when you find a thermos? You open it up and take a good look at what's in there. And
No, you might not even be able to last long enough to look in there.
once that cap comes off that thermos, that's when the natural disaster starts, and we'll be reading about that in the paper real soon.
Yeah, I know.
Keep an eye
One
out
person-
for some kind of a natural disaster in Plainfield, New Jersey, because when the toxic substance starts taking over the town, that's when you know the thermos was found.
We had one person open it 25 years later. We told him not to do it. Nuh-uh. We told him go outside.
Now, what is it
And
that
close
was?
the door.
What was it that was originally in the thermos?
Cream of mushroom soup.
Oh,
Yeah, he
Oh.
opened the lid, put his face over it, and in one swell move, slammed the cap on it, went down to his knees, and slowly screwed it back on.
and he puked.
That was hysterical.
That reminds me of the cream spinach story, but that's oh man. Anyways, venison.
I've been there for 50 years now. 50 years.
They've come out with a new product recently. Now, Brian, what do you think of the whole like NES Classic, SNES Classic? You pick any of those up to do a little old school gaming on your TV?
Oh, the reboot of that stuff.
Right.
No, I have not.
No, does that entice you at all though?
Not really.
Not really. Well, I think I found one for venison. I think venison would get a kick out of hooking one of these up to his modern TV. They're coming out. They're coming out with the VHS Classic.
Oh.
See, it's a little miniature VCR. Bundled with 16 VHS classic movies built right into it. Film ripped in 240i from genuine Blockbuster tapes we won at auction.
Yeah. You were tweeting about this.
Yes.
Like a 240i. Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, well, it's it comes with a VHS CRT filter. Video has random static and degrades over time. There's a save state feature. When paused, image will shake slightly, then auto shut off after 5 minutes. Does not record video. Does not come with power adapter. HDMI out. Image upscaled to 720p. Audio and stereo where available. So there you go. For those that are pining for the old days of the VCR, when you get your Blockbuster videotapes and pop them in there to watch a movie, you can pick up a VHS Classic and just hook it up, and it's just like having a VCR again, but miniature and digital.
My DVD
so it
recorder has a
doesn't-
VHS in it.
Yeah.
It does not take actual VHS tapes then.
It's not real. It's a mock advertisement.
Right. But and all the
The SNES and the NES minis do not take actual cartridges. They just look like miniatures of the systems that they emulate.
and all those games are built into it.
Right. They,
And like
can still
this,
play it.
all of those movies are built into it.
right.
So you select them from a menu.
It's mocking the mini game systems by saying, well,
because it doesn't really exist.
it is a mini VCR that doesn't take tapes. It just has a bunch of like crappy looking, quality wise, visual quality wise, crappy looking movies built into this little digital box, which is completely pointless and worthless. So
Let's say a VHS player with HDMI. Whoa.
well, it's not. It doesn't play VHS tapes. It just emulates them. But this is just a joke. But and that's like the criticism that the NES and the SNES Mini get is that they you could emulate Nintendo and Super Nintendo games with better equipment easier and cheaper, and the minis only came with like 20 games on them. You could fit hundreds of games on a thing like that. And but the thing is that people have figured out how to hack them to add more games to them, and they just look cool. I mean, I'm guilty. I bought them both. I got I got my NES Mini right over here.
Yeehaw.
Yeah. And I mean, I got an original
Now, the
NES.
controller is bigger than the console now, right?
Um,
Or about
The remote
size?
would be
About the
bigger
same
than
size,
console.
maybe. Well, it depends what dimension you're going by. But yeah, no, but I find they're good to hook up to my TV up here. You know, I got a modern TV in my man cave. I got, you know, the Wii hooked up to the component video, and the NES and SNES minis hooked up to HDMI cables, and I can play them up here. You know, downstairs on the, you know, big ass, you know, Sony Trinitron CRT, I got the original systems and, you know, cartridges.
Ooh, he's got a man cave.
Well, yeah, that's what this room is I'm in. That's why I got my antique radio behind me and things hanging on the walls, and, you know.
My whole apartment is a man cave.
That works. As long as you got your cave.
Yes, it does.
All right. So that so we all ready for Thanksgiving?
No.
No, you're not. What about you? You are ready. I mean, the big question is,
you got the turkey?
I got the turkey. I'm just hoping it falls out by then.
oh no, that's not good. Well, you got to, you know, fill the sink up with water and let it, you know, soak in there.
Yeah, I'll do that Wednesday night.
There you go. Well, I got to,
Do you have room in the refrigerator for it?
There's no need to.
Because
You know, well,
because it's winter in
you know,
Ohio.
Well, that too, but also, you know, the breast meat. I could, you know, I got the containers for that. They'll fit, and the drumsticks and the wings. Oh, they'll be devoured.
Well, you need to put it in the fridge before you cook it, right?
Now, if it's thawing,
Oh, I see. So you buy it, you're letting it thaw, and then because it's going to go in the oven, and then it's going to come out. You're going to devour the drumsticks, the wings, and you're going to throw some breast meat in a container and put in the fridge.
that's right.
So venison.
Fantastic sandwiches for a week.
How many people will be celebrating Thanksgiving with you?
Right now, looks like it'll be just me, so I could have all that meat for myself.
You got the turkey?
So party of one.
Party of
Okay,
one.
how about you, Jonathan?
Well, my aunt and uncle invited me over to their place for Thanksgiving dinner.
Which so your place is 0.
My place is 0. But I got to bake a pecan pie. My aunt don't let me in the house for Thanksgiving if I don't have a pecan pie in my hands. So
okay, well that's fair.
I'm also going to make a cheesecake.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we'll also do shots of aquavit. But I'm planning
very cool, especially double.
yeah.
Point. You know, I bought plenty of vodka.
Apparently, it's an old Norwegian tradition. Not that I have any Norwegian blood in me, but my uncle, he's Norwegian, so he always does the shots of aquavit with Thanksgiving. And this was a tradition that I approved of because it involved doing shots of something. So, yeah, that's my new Thanksgiving tradition is aquavit shots. But I can't do too many of them because I'm planning on just doing this in a day. You know, get up bright and early Thursday morning, get on the road. I got to be there at like 1, and it takes normally maybe 3 to 4 hours, maybe 4 hours to get there in normal traffic. So I figure I probably want to leave earlier than 9. In fact, I might just get on the road like at 6 and just find some place to hang out nearby the area until 1 o'clock.
It's not snowing.
Work at what time?
Well, I take the train to work.
Well, but I mean, what time do you hit the train?
Well, the train leaves the station at 5:44. I leave the house at 5:30.
So, yeah, you're used to going out early.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. If it's not snowing.
Well, hopefully we won't have any snow. But yeah, so I gotta drive down to Jersey, and I'm planning on just driving up the same day. You know, whatever. 4 hours down, Thanksgiving dinner, 4 hours back, sleep in my own bed. I don't got to be up early next morning, so I can make a late night drive back.
And you'll be driving in the snow belt.
You got Friday off then?
Yeah. Oh, are they calling for snow?
For the real Black Friday.
Right.
Since we've been doing Black Friday for 3 weeks already.
There's
and
no
yes,
Black Friday.
there's snow here on Wednesday. So by the time it gets to you guys, it probably still might be Thursday.
I don't
Can
know.
you send some snow our way?
You might want to look it up.
I'm looking it up right now. It's still a little early, though. I mean,
Yeah, so they might not have it right. It was supposed to be partly cloudy today, but I woke up, got my coffee, looked out the window, snow.
let's see. Well, in my neck of the woods, they're calling for rain tomorrow, partly cloudy on Wednesday, sunny on Thursday, sunny on Friday. Now, what are they calling for in my aunt's neck of the woods, though? Because, so let's see.
Really?
Matawan, New Jersey. Let's take a look at what's going on in Matawan. Apparently, I don't know how to
Well, the
spell
map I saw
Matawan.
showed different.
All right, let's try Aberdeen then. Results found for. Oh, here we go. No, wow, these are real towns, people. Why are you not finding them? All right, I'll look up the zip code for Matawan. Okay, there we go. That's the zip code for Matawan. Okay. There we go. And there you go. You figured it. No, not Jenna, Germany. The heck is wrong with you? Okay, let's take a look at the next 2 days worth of weather here. Tomorrow, clouds in the morning, sun in the afternoon. Wednesday, mostly sunny. Thursday, sunny. Friday, sunny. Saturday, PM shower. So yeah, between here, well, at least here and my destination are looking sunny for Thursday. But who knows?
Sounds suspicious.
Well,
I read
the weather guy is the original fake news dude.
I read on the internet. It's got to be true.
Yeah, there you go.
I saw the maps on the Weather Channel, so I don't know.
Yeah,
They
whatever.
look pretty hairy. Somebody's going to be getting a snowstorm between now and Thursday.
No, it ain't here.
It was looking toward from Ohio to the Northeast.
I guess it skipped over our area and made its way over to Canada.
Huh.
Who knows?
Interesting.
I don't know. It's not hitting here though.
Well, I know
It's-
Western Connecticut got a little bit of snow. I was talking to my brother this morning.
Oh, we did get snow, but we're not
Yeah.
getting snow Thursday. Yeah, but I got snow.
He didn't really say.
Yeah, I got snow. But yeah. So what about you, Brian? You hosting? You going someplace?
I have a cousin that's in Oakland, and so
Oh, I'm sorry.
she and her husband and the two of us. So the total will be 4.
And you're going to Oakland?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is Oakland at the base of the Oakland Hills, that hillside.
Okay.
Is it-
On which side of 580?
Oh,
The
east. It's like, is that 9 that goes along the base of the hill?
I don't know. I know I was pretty close to the hills when I lived in Oakland, but I wasn't, I wasn't in the hills.
This was essentially literally at the base of the hill.
Yeah. I was
And
right
in
on.
fact, she get this. So about a year ago, they had a tree fall on the house. Insurance paid for it and put them up while the house was being repaired. She was at a Marriott for 6 months.
Damn, man, how big was that tree?
That was a biggie.
What did it do? Crush the entire house?
A big chunk of it, apparently. I mean, I haven't seen it yet. That's what we're going to see is the, shall we say, the reconstruction of it. Hopefully he has pictures of the tree and the house.
Damn, I had 3 trees fall on me, and most I got of it was a small hole.
Well, I was west of 580, but I was right up against 580, so that's pretty close to the base of the hill.
Yeah,
I
but
could
I think it's Highway 9 that goes up to Berkeley. It comes off around
13.
13. That's it. 9, 13, pretty close.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
are both odd numbers.
Sure. Yeah, no, I wasn't. I was. I mean,
so 95.
I wasn't that far from 13, but I wasn't going to walk to 13. But yeah, I was kind of close to the base of the hill where I was. I was like right in the borderline of like.
But she's also further north. So as you go north, 580 kind of cuts around to the west.
Right.
And 13 kind of goes straight up north to Berkeley.
Right. Right.
So it's closer, probably even closer to 24 than it is 580 for where she is.
Okay. Oh, she's in that area. Yeah, that's a nice area.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
That's area that they'd like rename to not be Oakland if they could.
Right, exactly. They have their own names there.
Yeah.
There's Piedmont, there's others. Our friend Carl lived on the top of the hill. And he'd walk along the road that's on the top of the hill. And he's walking along and he sees this guy out there. Hey, Governor Brown, what you doing? I'm picking up dog poop.
Nice. Why not?
That's the kind of guy Jerry Brown is.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
Just a regular dude.
Okay.
Yeah. I probably would have stayed in Oakland longer if the building didn't get broken into. But no, it was a nice area as far as Oakland goes. I'm not really selling it, am I?
How much of it burned?
What's that?
How much of it burned?
Burned? No, as far as I know, the place is still standing. I don't know. I should do the
Oakland fire was like 92,
and I lived in there long after that.
Yeah, in fact, that's the period where we were living in Texas.
I tell you what, I'm gonna street view the building I used to live in just to see what the latest street view looks like.
Yeah,
and
it's fun to spy on the old neighborhood.
Yeah, we'll spy on the old neighborhood here, and because keep in mind, some of you that have been listening a long time probably listened to many broadcasts that took place from. This was back in the days when I was broadcasting out of the kitchen. And
hey, FedEx truck.
Hey, yeah, wow! They actually found the building now that I don't live there no more.
Yeah, exactly. How wonderful is that?
But this is the building. If you looked on Street View some years ago, you'd see the white Taurus wagon parked out here.
And they have a white vehicle there now.
Yeah. Now
it's like when you go to Abbey Road and you see a Volkswagen Beetle on the road.
Now,
right by where the Beatles walked across. Yeah.
Now, I know that there's not much going on in this intersection, being that that's just a dead end right there, because that's where 580 is, and they're not going to give you like an at-grade intersection on the 580. And they're not going to put...
Or even a way to get to the other side.
Well, yeah, because there is more Laurel Avenue on the other side of 580, but they don't give an underpass on every street. But who has the right of way at this intersection?
There's no stop signs or anything.
No, exactly. Now, and I've seen other...
this is the four-way intersection. So you just go for it.
There are no stop signs at this intersection. And I've seen other intersections...
What you should do is put up a big old sign that says, "Feeling lucky."
I should. I really should. But no, that's the thing. There are other intersections.
That's awesome.
There are other intersections in this area that are at dead ends that don't have a lot going on, but they have stop signs. This is the only intersection I could find in this area that has no stop sign. Looks like, and right there, there's my door. And
nice.
Will you look at that? Awesome. The people that live there
at the security system.
The security system, and they like Bernie.
Bernie.
They like Bernie.
Nice people.
Nice people. There
Even
you go.
They're communists.
And this window right here
is barred.
Is all the windows in this building are barred with the exception of the back window, because that's the only second exit for this apartment. But this window here that I'm pointing at is the window that the desk was up against when I was broadcasting from the kitchen.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there we go. That was my.
And is the bush bigger than it was before, or about
I-
the same?
About the same, I think. I don't
Because
know.
they probably just keep it trimmed at about the same
Now,
level.
now the thing that you'll notice about looking at this building here is that there is a garage on the first floor, and there is second floor above that garage. Now that garage is filled with crap, so no one parks in there.
Well,
but
that's
that
the California way.
which means that this apartment is the smallest apartment in this building because these two apartments take up this half of the building. And these two apartments take up this half of the building, but this one has to accommodate for garage space, whereas the upstairs here don't. And so I basically had the worst apartment in this fourplex. But there was the others were 2-bedroom apartments. That one was a 1-bedroom apartment, which was good to start out with. We were newlyweds, so we're fine with that. But you see, everyone else, like the upstairs on there gets a balcony. There is a side door on that building there. The upstairs above us, they have a balcony up there. I had no balcony. I had no other way out of the building. So the back window for the bedroom had no bars on it because it used to have some kind of a bar fixture on it that had a release chain so that you could open it up from the inside and escape out the back window. So I'm guessing that was a safety thing that you could not just bar up the back window. And whatever was there was not there now, and whoever owned it wasn't going to put the money up. So that was what kind of pissed me off, was that the place above us got broken into. And so I called up the landlord, and I was like, could you put bars on the back window? Because, we were just broken into recently. Above us was broken into. I'm worried about that. And so they basically said, well, we'll give you permission to do it, and you go ahead and pay for it. And I'm like, no.
Thanks for nothing.
I was like, well, I'm improving your building. You should pay for that because I'm not going to take the bars with me when I leave. Oh, if you put it in, you could take the bars off and take them with you when you leave.
Yeah, right. Like, where are you going to use those again?
So
on the barbecue grill.
There you go. So I moved out instead and moved to Hayward. And
so just for curiosity, move up and down the street and turn the view toward where that FedEx truck is and see if there are points where it disappears.
Okay. Well, FedEx truck is here, but
if you back up a little bit, keep pointing in that same direction.
Yeah, it's gone.
And it's just, I think that's cool.
Yeah. And notice there's no cars parked over there.
Yeah, look at that. Holy mackerel. They just disappeared.
And Al, boom, there they are.
Right.
And this is a dead-end street. I actually never went down to the end of this, but this is a dead end. There's nothing.
Broken into.
See, next time you live there, you could do some more exploring and actually go to the end of the street.
Oh, this is as far as Street View lets us go, but you can see the end over there.
Well, I mean,
bars on the windows.
There. Right.
Now, notice not all these buildings have bars on the windows. So I felt like this was a neighborhood that was seeing better days now, because there were still bars on windows, but not everyone was putting bars on their windows. So I kind of felt like our building just had leftover bars from another time. But like I said, we did get broken into. Now, the
I live in a town where people still don't even lock their doors.
Dang.
Yeah, I lived in a state like that.
Oh, Maine?
Yeah.
It surprised the hell out of me.
Of course, Maine is famous for squatters.
Well, in rich folks' McMansions that they don't barely ever use, maybe.
Well,
and the people here are so friendly.
Places. Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah, that's the old neighborhood.
It's like the free Airbnb.
And you can see from here, well, there's a street sign on the highway, but you can see the hills off to the distance. So yeah, I wasn't that far from the hills.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. That's not bad for a first apartment.
Yeah.
Now, what about you, Brian? What was your first apartment like?
Well, our first apartment was, kind of posh. It was up on the hills between Denver and Golden. And we lived there for about a year, and then we moved to another apartment that was a lot cheaper. And that was kind of resembling your apartment.
What
You know.
what prompted the change from posh to cheap?
That was cheaper.
I
you
see.
know. It was more affordable.
Posh apartments. Listen to this guy.
I mean, they had a pool and whatever. I mean, it was, moved into town. Where were we going to find? Oh, we found this place. It seemed to be nice. But it was a little expensive, so we decided to, move on to another place.
Yeah, makes
The
sense.
other place, now, it was more like yours, a great first apartment. And it was near a nice restaurant, okay? But you did have, we were on a lower floor, so, when the bathtub upstairs overflowed, we get their water.
Oh, I had that problem once. Although
And we
it was
also
was
had-
raw sewage that was getting into my bathtub, though.
Oh no, this was just water. Oh, there's a black cat in your hallway. Don't look.
She's very shy. She's starting to get a little more brave about leaving her room. I don't think she's brave enough to come up to me. Hey,
Got her ears
Hestia.
set in a position like, who the heck are you?
Yeah. No, she knows who I am.
Okay.
But yeah, she's very shy. But that's she doesn't leave the room for the hallway that easily, but she's doing it more frequently now. We've had her for a month now, so she's getting more bold and adventurous to leave. And that's why we're leaving Shantico in the downstairs so that she's
Right.
free to roam. It looks like she's going to head back to her room. She's happy doing things in her room.
Anyway, so one day, we get up and we go into the kitchen to make something, and a guinea pig had crawled between apartments and came to visit us.
Oh, nice! Your wife loves guinea pigs.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know all about that.
I know she loves guinea pigs. She was so thrilled when you brought home a guinea pig to
Yes.
pet sit. She was so thrilled that the day I came back from vacation and came to work, you showed up at the office that morning with a guinea pig cage, cage.
Ready to return.
We were going to arrange.
Vacation over.
I mean, the original plan was we'll get back and we'll arrange to meet someplace for dinner and all that. We'll collect the cage and no, right to the your wife is like, take it this morning. He's back in the office, right?
I will look for that recipe for roast guinea pig.
Oh, don't do that.
Hey, it's a delicacy in some countries. I saw them eat it. They rather liked it.
This is not one of those countries.
I am curious when it comes to food.
Anyways, well, that's like when we drove across the country. We brought the guinea pig with it was Kristen's brother's guinea pig, but he was allergic, and so he was just kind of chilling in the kitchen, getting no real attention. So that's when Kristen's mom was like, "You could take the guinea pig, since you're two moving in together, and then you have a pet." And so we drove the guinea pig across the country, and when we got to Liam's place, we we had the cage in the car. The weather was okay. We weren't going to start imposing on people like, hey, can we... I figured at some point I'd ask, is there a place we could bring in a guinea pig cage, or should we just leave it in the car? Like at Doone's place, we left it in the car, and it was fine there because there were 5 dachshunds in the trailer. So there was no way we were even going to entertain the idea of bringing the guinea pig cage into that house. But at Liam's house, we... when they're like, oh, you got a guinea pig in the car, bring it in. You need to bring it in. Go bring it in. You don't need to leave it, So, yeah, okay. We got the cage. We carried it in. And we took the guinea pig out of the cage, and we let Liam hold it. And Liam's talking to his mom. And Liam's like, oh, yeah, did you get that email I sent you of guinea pig recipes? And at that moment, the guinea pig started squirming like, no, get me out of this guy's hands. I swear the guinea pig understood what was being said. And he's like, nope, that's it. I'm done. I'm out. Get me away from him.
Time to go.
Time to go.
I think that car sounds like a great place to stay for the night.
Yeah, yeah. Get me back in the car. No. The guinea pig was fine in the cage.
Be sure to lock the doors.
Yeah. It was okay. Liam was blind. He'd never find the cage anyways.
Yeah, right.
And then Liam was very accommodating. He basically, because I figured, set us up on a couch someplace we'd be fine. Liam's like, no, take my bed. I'll sleep on the couch. So Krista and I, spent the night in Liam's bed, and we'll forever tease whether or not we did anything in Liam's bed. But
never tell, because then the joke is over, right?
But the opportunity was there for Krista and I to,
I bet you he teased about. I bet you he teased about all the time he jerked off on that bed.
Yeah, I
think about that.
I believe those were fresh sheets on the bed.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, keep thinking that.
I didn't have a black light with me, so I could neither confirm nor deny. But it's okay.
Well, sometimes you just don't want to know, right?
Yeah, it's just like Liam doesn't want to know what Chris and I did in that bed that night.
That's right.
That's right. But yes, we took Liam's bed, and that was it's an adventure. You got to do things while you're traveling. So
and he didn't want to inspect the bed or the walls.
I don't know, but I did. I do have to throw Liam under the bus here. There was one thing where he had a spot where he's like, yeah, there's a power strip back there. I don't think it's working though. Maybe you could take a look at that, because we're looking for a place to plug things in. And he's like, yeah, the power strip's back there. I it might not be plugged in or something. And here's what I found. And this is where you're in the bedroom of a blind guy. The power strip was plugged into itself.
Whoa!
Wait a minute.
That's rough.
He would have figured it out real fast. He just didn't get around to it. But that was we all had a good laugh.
Are you trying to say Liam was black?
No, I said he was blind.
So actually, what you did when you left, you plugged the power strip into itself.
No, I fixed
Not
the
that
power.
You found it that way.
No, I found the power strip plugged into itself, and I plugged it into the wall, and
it worked.
And it worked.
Well, that's good.
That was good.
So you fixed the problem.
I fixed the problem.
Uh-huh.
But that's a good sign that you're at a blind person's house. The power strip is plugged into it. I'm not saying all blind people do this. I'm sure many sighted people have done this too.
Not that I know of.
It could be practical if you're just storing the thing, right?
If you got a mess of wires and you lose track of what's what, it's very easy to happen. It's kind of like, all right, for those tech people, you know what a switch is, right? It's for no venison, not that kind. For your networking, where you got all your network connections wired into the switch, and it basically is connecting all for your internal network, connecting everything. And Brian is showing us off some wires and stuff.
Yeah, well, it's a power strip.
That's a power strip, but that's not a switch. That's not
a well, it's got a well, no, there's no switch on it.
I miss my lab. In that one
nice.
statement,
it's now a handle.
There you go. It works. So, Brian, you've worked with network switches, right?
A little, yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever made the mistake of losing track of your cables and plugging the switch into itself?
No. What happens?
Well, it's a funny thing, and I know this because basically my first IT job at the bank, there was a mini switch behind my desk that had like one network jack plugged into it, and that split it out to about 16 ports or whatever. So that way, if I needed to image machines or set up a few other machines, or someone's machine's not working right, I had plenty of network jacks to hook things up. And at some point, things were becoming a mess of wires behind my desk. And so at some point, I needed to plug something in. I plugged something in. And then my phone rang. And I pick up the phone, and someone goes, yeah, I'm having trouble getting email. It's not coming in. I seem to be losing connection, and then it's coming back. And so I connect to his computer, and I'm like looking at it, and it's not consistently off, but it's really bad, and I can't figure out why he's not, able to do anything over his network connection. So I'm like, there must be something wrong with your computer. Let me see if I can get a spare, brought up to you,
and so I can re-image that one.
Right. We'll take a look at. But before I could do that, my phone rings from someone else that's having the same problem, and then everyone's having and it was one of these things that it doesn't immediately happen, but it escalates really fast, and you basically create the
kind
situation.
Of a cascading failure.
Right. Basically, you've created a situation where the network is plugged into itself, and it's having a heck of a time figuring out how that works or what to do with that, and that just kind of consumes all of its focus. I don't know how to technically put it, but it basically brings the network down. And so at some point, we're trying to figure out what's going on. Why is it down? It's like, did you plug that switch into itself by any chance here, Jonathan? I'm like, no, I don't. Maybe. Sure enough,
be that stupid.
And sure enough, I did, and I pulled it out, and I only did that twice.
Oh, only twice.
Only twice.
Yeah.
Which was good, because the second time I did it, I recognized the symptoms, and I kind of was like, oh, I probably plugged the switch into itself. Let me go check. Oh, yeah, there it is.
Day.
And so at that point, I took out a lot of the spare wires so that there wasn't as much of a mess of wires for that to, easily happen. Because, bringing down everyone's email is kind of not good.
Yeah, kind of.
So, that's don't plug a switch into itself unless you want to bring your works network down. But don't be that guy.
Oh, by the way, getting back to pet stories real quick, because I just remembered this. I had a weird dream Saturday night, and this just came back to me. I dreamt that I heard Patter's little feet, in the room here, and so I just patted the couch because I was sleeping there, and I felt something jump up on there, get underneath the covers, and then come up, and then come up to about near my head. But I felt this head, this little head going in between my hand there, and it started licking my thumb. And it's like, whoa. And the first memory that came up was my first little dog, my first little fox terrier, who we were extremely close. Somehow or another, he found me.
That's kind of
I have a ghost dog.
A ghost dog.
Oh.
Thought that was kind of cute, though.
No, it is. That is kind of cute. Yeah.
Because that's what you do. You come up to my room, at home, come up to the bedroom, open the door, jump on the bed, and climb underneath the covers and down to the foot of the bed. And that's where he slept.
How about that? A ghost dog.
I miss him.
Yeah, well, we all miss our. I think we all miss our first dogs.
No, he wasn't the first. He was the second.
Well, our childhood
you
dogs.
You get a favorite pet, though. I mean, just locks on.
Yeah, two of them, actually. Yeah. Second one was another fox terrier, toy fox terrier. Both of them were great.
I'm trying to find the second apartment complex I lived in. I can't find it. I think, did they tear it down and put something else in? None of these look like the place I used to live. I could not find my second apartment.
The money I'm getting looks like I'm here permanently.
Just waiting for you to leave.
I don't know, because those are nice apartments. Actually, that wouldn't make sense for them to tear that down. Those are nice apartments. Oh, something weird's going on there.
Real estate people do all kinds of things that don't make sense.
Well, that's true.
All right, let me. I think it was.
I miss my lab.
Oh, I was
Please,
looking on the wrong block.
this place has more wires than the White House.
That makes sense.
I haven't been in that neighborhood a long time, so I made a wrong turn.
So how long has it been since you moved?
Over 2 years now.
More than that.
Well, yeah, because I've been at my current job for like 2 years. So, and then I was, maybe a year before. So like about 3 years now.
Okay.
So yeah, I can't show you all the second apartment I lived in because it's part of a complex. But you can see the gate.
Yeah, let's see the gate.
The gate that kept all the delivery people out. Because they had this button system at the gate that would tie into a landline, but I didn't have any reason to spend money for a landline other than the buzzer, and that was not enough reason to have a at least $25 a month bill. I'm like, well, I got my cell phone. I was like, well, we're not going to forward our buzzer to your cell phone because we don't want to pay the phone bill for those calls. So I just had a buzzer that did nothing, which means that if anyone wanted to buzz me to deliver a package, I only got my packages on days that I wasn't the only person that had a package for them.
Right.
But yeah, there's the gate, and you picked me up there once. Yeah. You're doing the whole traffic jamming.
There's no gate code, so you can just type in a gate code.
Right. No, there's
actually. How did you get in?
Well, they gave me a link to a product, or the basically they told me what product I could buy, which is basically a programmable garage door opener type of clicker, and then you bring it to them, and then they program it to work with that.
So you actually had to buy this thing.
I had to buy a thing that they would program.
Well, those guys are assholes.
Well, I think they gave me a key that would work. And they said, but if you don't feel like getting out of your car to turn a key every time, you could buy this thing and we'll program it.
Boy, that's lame.
Yeah, I mean, so they gave me a key.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, I can understand them not wanting to, especially, a lot of people came and went from these apartments because this was a landlord that raised the rent every year. So every year, more people moved out. And after, so many years of that, I was like, fuck you and fuck you again.
Oh, get this. So my parents' place that is for sale now, by the way. So that won't require us to go down to Santa Maria as much. But, of course, it's a trailer where you're renting the land. Okay? So the house is worth somewhere around $70,000. And then, of course, you have a rent. And the rent is about $700 a month. Now, each year they pop that up by a few percent. Right?
Right.
But every time the place sells, it pops up by 5%. Now, when you got a bunch of units that are on the market to sell, they look at the rent. Well, our place hasn't been owned by that many people, so it's only bumped up a little bit. Other houses have been sold many times. So where ours will rent for $700, you'll have the same lot, nearby or whatever that's for sale, and that'll go for $800.
Interesting.
So it was to our advantage that we have a place that hasn't sold that often.
You would think that they would just, when you sell it, bring it up to the same market value of the others.
No, you would think. Whatever that is, right. But it was kind of a fixed process.
Interesting. Well, this place was a fixed process, and whatever the landlord felt like raising it to, she did. And I remember, it pisses me off. It pisses me off that this, jackass can just arbitrarily decide that this much more of your budget goes into my pocket when I wasn't getting that much more every year out of Tharco. And so
sure. There should be some connection between cost of living and
your pay. Yeah, and that's one of my big problems is that a landlord can adjust things faster than wages are going
your
up.
alternative is to move,
and that is what drives up prices. And because I tell you, every time it happened, I saw the moving trucks come in and a lot of people leaving, and they were probably heading out towards San Leandro and Oakland.
Now you just scare me to death.
And it was getting, but here's the thing: my rent never went up in Oakland. I lived there for a number of years, and never once did they bug me. I lived in the apartment I lived in this town before I bought this house. They never raised my rent. There are some places that, as long as the money keeps coming in, and their mortgage is pretty steady, they'll leave you alone. They don't want to chase you out. But this person was a business lady that owned, complexes. And so she was looking at market values and she was, a shrewd businesswoman. And the problem is that every time she raised the rent, she still had the lowest rent that you could find out there in the market. So It wasn't like I could even, it's not like I had no leverage over her. Because I would call her up and fight it every time and say, hey, this is ridiculous. how am I supposed to afford this? She goes, that's not my problem. I'm the landlord. I set the price. I'm not negotiating with you. And I remember one year, because
they're like that.
Because I wasn't going to be unreasonable, but I wasn't going to take it lying down either. I wanted to make sure this landlord knew.
What am I getting for this? Yeah,
I am a good tenant. And you're going to lose me if you keep up this shit. And because
and that's the thing. It's easy to get a tenant that turns out to be lousy. The guy's not paying on time, or this or that and the other thing.
Yeah,
leaves the place like a mess when he takes
right.
off.
I mean, I was taking care of the place. I was being a good tenant, and that should be worth something. And some landlords, they don't want to lose a good tenant.
Yeah.
They'll work with you a bit if but she was one of these shrewd businesswomen that was whatever, I'll get someone else in there, no problem. And so that was why that contributed towards my wanting to leave California, because the rent was way too damn high in California.
Oh, sure. In fact, this last election, there was a measure for rent control,
which is severely in need in California, the way things are there.
Well, then
the rent's
in different
too
areas
damn
there already
high.
is rent control.
Well, apparently not in Hayward.
So it's just expanding it out.
Yeah, which needs to happen because the landlords are out of control. They're absolutely out of control.
Now, I know a guy that has a house that he rents out, and he's treating the guy decently because he wants him to stay.
Right.
And I don't think he's altering the rent too much. I don't know all that detail, but the guy's the perfect renter. He pays always on time. He cleans up the property, keeps it nice, etc., etc. Only complains when, there's something that only a landlord can do, which is not very frequently at all. It's the perfect renter.
Right.
The only problem is that he's an illegal alien.
Oh. Okay.
Well, this is why he's taking care of the place, because he doesn't want to make any waves.
Right.
Makes sense. So my friend doesn't have any leverage, but he could use that as leverage if he wanted to do. He could do anything he wanted because the guy's illegal. But he knows that the guy's a good renter, so why do that?
Yeah, but I mean, it was she raised it every year. I qualified. One year, she I think she had a particularly nasty conversation with someone that totally yelled at her and screamed at her, and she basically told them, "You get out of my building. I don't want you." Basically, this person was extremely belligerent to the landlord, and because the landlord started getting really snippy with me. And I'm like, dude, I'm politely asking. And she actually apologized a few times on the call, like, you're not the one that called me and yelled at me. And it's like, yeah, you're right. I'm not, and
Right.
you're being real snippy with me. But she was not relenting or backing down at all. And she kept, attacking me more and
Right.
more. And but yeah, she was, so that contributed towards my, get the fuck out of the state, get away from this
Sure.
unreasonable rent situation, because Hayward was becoming if I didn't get a promotion or something or find a better job, I was not going to be able to afford my apartment in a few years from then.
Yeah, right.
And
right.
and I didn't feel like moving back to Oakland.
Oh man, if they raise for rent here, if it's at least if it's under $100, I would have to get rid of the cable internet.
Well, I mean,
in order to stay here.
It all depends on where you're living. I mean, California is a very competitive real estate market. People were moving in. Prices were going up in San Jose, and so a lot of those people were moving into Hayward as a cheaper place, and that was driving up their rents. And then they're moving into San Leandro, and that was driving up their rents. And then they're moving out to Oakland, that's driving up those rents. So that was really what I was caught in the middle of. Now, if you're in an area that's pretty, stable and there's not a whole lot of, people moving in from other
fairly
areas,
laid back.
Yeah, you're probably, you probably not get much of that.
Well, so now that you own a place, the only thing you have to worry about is those politicians raising your property tax.
Right. Right. My mortgage, my mortgage is what it is. The only thing that can go up here is the taxes.
Oh boy, did they raise them by $3,000. I couldn't believe that.
Wow.
Wow.
Anyways,
of course, politicians can't be trusted anyway.
Well, no.
Yeah, especially one. But I'm not going to get into that.
Good man.
What, Trump?
He didn't even say. He didn't say. I saw this funny line. I think it was on Facebook. A guy goes, I figured out the way to reduce the expenses of Christmas gifts this year.
Don't buy any?
No. When you're at Thanksgiving dinner with your relatives, bring up politics.
Oh, there you go. Yes, there you.
You like that, huh?
I like that.
Yeah, just bring up the topic. It doesn't really matter what it is.
Yeah,
just politics. The one word.
Politics.
Yes, let's talk about politics. You're off the Christmas list.
So, Brian, I mean, when you're with family or relatives or people that you share holiday meals with, you kind of have an idea where they land on the political spectrum. How many Trump supporters are sitting around your table at Thanksgiving? Well, you're in California, so none. There are none in California.
Oh, no, well, actually, my cousin is a Democrat, I'm pretty sure. But her husband is a Republican. So I'm guessing that the conversation doesn't come around that much.
Not all Republicans support Trump, though.
Well, in fact, we had
in fact,
dinner with them about a month ago.
Do you still consider yourself a Republican?
Well, I mean, I'm registered that way. But no, I just haven't gotten around to
you're independent.
Party affiliation yet, which will be to nothing. Yes.
You don't want to go Democrat.
No.
He's registered as Republican.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in California Republican.
Evil. Yeah, right. Oh, actually, it was just the other day where the assembly member in my area, who is on her second or third term, she was running for a third term, I think, and they just announced that she was voted out and she was a Republican. So I thought, my area was the shall we call it the other side of the coin in the state legislature. To try to put some balance in it.
Okay.
Which, in fact, is why I voted for her. Let's get a little balance,
Here's the thing. We need... One thing I have to say is that if we can't somehow find a way to get some mature adults working in Congress, we're never going to solve our problems. I mean, right now we're going into a split Congress with Democrats controlling the House and Republicans controlling the Senate,
which means nothing will be done.
Which is part of, but that's the problem. If we could have an environment where they could get things done, that would mean, because right now all we have is, if one party controls everything, they can ram their stuff through, and then when the other party swings back, since they didn't have any input into it, they just try to undo all that and do their own things. And that back and forth is just as bad as the standstill when you get the gridlock.
You might as well have nothing done.
The Republicans started this whole no compromise bullshit that has grounded this nation to a grinding halt.
Sure.
And everyone wants to pretend like the other side should make the first step if they want to compromise. Compromise meaning do it my way and fuck your way. And that's just not going to fly. And I mean, the Democrats need to acknowledge that compromise is needed, but the GOP really needs to, get their act together.
I personally think the one thing that can help is end party affiliation. Period. You're not paying dues to the party. I mean, you can contribute, but that doesn't mean you don't have to. That's all voluntary.
What do you mean by end party affiliation?
When you register to vote, you say you're a Republican or you're a Democrat, or it could be independent, but there's a party affiliation. What does that do?
Well, I think
independent.
The intent of that, though, is that,
whoops, we're breaking up there.
We're breaking up there. Are we still breaking up?
Okay, we're good.
We're breaking up here.
Is frozen. Okay, you're back.
Okay. The idea is to only participate in one primary or caucus, because if you let everyone participate in every primary or caucus, then you might get like a bunch of Democrats crashing the GOP primary, intentionally putting a bad candidate up. So you want to make sure that people that are going to have input into the party's candidate in the primary are people that are actually active or care about the party. So, I mean, ending party affiliation, well, how will primaries and caucuses work?
First of all, you can change your party affiliation anytime you want.
But you can only pick one per cycle.
November, I know. But you say, okay, next November, or let's say it's 3 or 4 months away, you say, oh, okay, I like these guys better. I'm going to change my party affiliation to that party and then get my input on them.
Right.
But why even have that? If you can charge anytime you want, when you walk up to the polls, you say, okay, which envelope do you want? Republican, Democrat, or Independent? Or Pinko Party, whatever it is.
For the primary.
Whatever, for the primary. Pick any one you want, and that's the way you vote. Last minute, you make that decision on which way to go. What's wrong with that idea?
Well, because people could easily decide, well, my vote is more useful to crap on the other party rather than to vote with my party.
How are you going to stop that anyway?
You could take measures that dissuade people from doing that, and
how would you just give me one idea?
Well, I mean, the system we have now, where you register with that party, makes it more likely that people that are voting for that party in the primary are actually voting with that party and not trying to.
You can change
so you're saying that you can't change your mind?
But the easier,
doesn't that go against the democratic process?
Well, no, I'm playing devil's advocate right now. I don't necessarily disagree with your point, but I am trying to understand reasons why we have the system why it is now, and how do we accommodate that? I mean, because I think, a part of the concern there is someone could, go throw a big old turd in the Democrats' pool or throw a turd in the GOP's pool by, messing with the nomination process when you don't really like any of them.
So of course, you're talking about one guy, or you get a group of guys that
I mean, potentially
in the well.
Potentially a group of guys can poison the well. I don't know how effective they can be at that.
So here's a way.
I don't know. This is hypothetical.
They were very effective.
So let's put it this way: if you want to vote in my political party, I'm the dumbass party, right? And if you want to vote for my candidates,
it's pronounced Dumas.
The Dumas party.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, thank you. You have to actually pay membership fees.
Well, now you're talking about
you're out.
That equates to a poll tax. We did away with those.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's true. So bring them back, man.
That's saying you have to pay for the right to vote. Screw that.
No.
In
right
primaries,
to vote in your primary.
Well, now we're turning into we're turning it into a a group of elitists that control the direction of their party.
You mean the rich guys?
Well,
they don't already.
Yeah,
they don't already.
And we're trying to move away from that. Well, Trump.
That's not happening at all.
Well, Trump wasn't put up by a bunch of rich guys. Trump was put up by one rich guy and a whole lot of stupidity. Anyways, I don't.
Well, but then the Democrats are backed up by this guy Soros, right? What's the difference? Just because one guy acts like a total asshole,
I'm fine.
What's the difference?
I'd like to get all the money out of politics.
Well, if that were possible, but let's face it. Today, when a congressman gets in office,
get them all out of there. No,
when a congressman gets into office,
no more money.
When a congressman today goes into office, the first thing he starts doing is fundraising.
And that's the problem.
So he's spending most of his time fundraising.
We should have a system where if you're a candidate, public funds go to you for your campaign. Everyone gets the same amount. No donations. None. Get the money out of it. I don't want a bunch of fundraisers in office. I want people that are there to represent us in office, not the special interests that give them money. Get the money out of politics.
Citizens United.
I want them all gone. I want them all. Koch brothers gone. Soros gone. Unions gone. Get all the money out of it. All of it.
Well, I'm glad that you added unions to the list.
I'm going to be fair. I'll be fair.
Sure.
Get them all out of there.
Yeah,
get rid of lobbyists as well.
Yeah, that's all the money that's going in there. Get it out of there. You're representing people, not businesses.
Sometimes the lobbyists are those guys that come in and help write bills because they're the experts.
No. They're the experts at writing bills that are good for their businesses and bad for the people.
Sometimes that happens.
I mean, here's the thing that kind of pisses me off. This
shouldn't happen.
The big tax break. Apparently, first drafts of the tax break had some reasonable and not such bad ideas in there. Trump was actually saying a few things that might have actually made a little bit of sense. And then all the lobbyists and business people start talking to him and telling him, no, here's what you really want to do. And he came out with the worst tax plan that's basically robbed the people. He's robbing us blind.
So my older brother in the mid-60s, about 66, I think, wrote to my grandfather, and this letter was in my grandfather's stuff. And he was talking about different topics, and they did a lot of talk about investing in stocks and this and that, and individual stocks. And one of the paragraphs was on the automakers.
Okay.
And safety issues. Remember, when a car crashed, you died.
Right.
Back then. So there was this.
That saved you from medical bills.
There you go. But then again, the health insurance companies weren't in place yet. Or they were just getting going. And the auto insurance was still kind of a new thing. Anyway, so auto safety was a big topic. And so Senator Robert Kennedy and Senator Abe Ribicoff of Connecticut got together, had a committee, studied the problem, went to the automakers and said, and my brother summarized this briefly, but this is the gist of it, came up with this report and stated to the automakers, either you come up with the safety measures to make cars safer, or the government will do it for you.
Yeah.
Now, his response to that was, and I think this is true in a lot of topics, okay, so these senators had this little study, which whatever that means, and they came out with this edict, but what do they really know about the topic? Often on these topics, they know nothing. Most congressmen, senators, etc., knew nothing about health care. They never read the damn book, and Obamacare was passed on the hopes that something would happen.
It was a good start, though.
And it was a good start, but they should continue with the process.
Well,
Democrats aren't saying anything about fixing anything. Republicans want to repeal it. They kind of says, yeah, we could fix things, but we want to repeal it, but they have nothing to replace it with.
That's the thing. It's the Democrats passed their bill. They did their work. They passed their bill. If the GOP don't like it, they had plenty of opportunity to work with the Democrats and come up with some compromises in there.
No doubt.
That is my big. That is why I pin the blame of where we are today on the GOP, because the GOP had a choice to follow the people spoke loudly and in numbers. Obama won, majority in the House and the Senate. The people spoke. This is where we want to go.
But in 2 years, many of those Democrats were replaced. So their opportunity was gone to do anything more.
And that is the rebuttal. And I still can't make sense over why that pendulum swung so fast there. It's like, did you all forget what happened?
Oh, I know why. Because it was only 2 years after, the worst recession we've had since the Great Depression, yada, yada, yada. Things go down, job loss, et cetera.
I mean,
you can't fix that in 2 years.
There's a lot of things that could be at play there. People being fickle and just like, well, you didn't fix it fast enough. I'm going back. Low voter turnout at midterms, gerrymandering, voter suppression.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt about all of that stuff. The other thing is that
the GOP,
the Democrats stopped looking at the problem to make it better. And the Republicans never did anything to either have a replacement or even talk about the problems.
The Democrats did all they could do in the situation they had, because yes, the Democrats had the House, the Democrats had the Senate, and the Democrats had the White House, but the Democrats also had an obstructing GOP that would do nothing for them.
Oh, sure.
Or for a country.
But then we flip the table over and we have the same problem. But the Democrats are being accused of being obstructionist.
Well, can you blame them? Can you blame them after what the GOP did?
But that's tit for tat.
I don't care. The GOP.
We're just doing the other thing.
If the GOP wants anything from us, they need to make right for all their wrongs they did to us. Merrick Garland.
Okay.
Exactly.
I ain't giving a fucking inch of those jackasses unless they do something to right all their wrongs. And I don't want anyone to give them anything at this point. Yes, we need to get to a point where both parties are working together, but the GOP needs to do something to fix it.
And they refuse.
That's why I think the better idea is to eliminate, or shall we say, make the parties weaker and voter affiliation.
I don't see how that fixes the problem.
And also,
I think
make it so that the third parties get a fair shake at it.
Well,
The Constitution never suggests a party system at all.
you know
That
what?
was never intended.
But Brian, there are other countries that have more parties, and some of the parties are more serious. But no matter what, things generally work out towards two dominant parties, one leaning left, one leaning right. That's just naturally where it goes.
And most of them typically, although Singapore has it one better,
And who
It's
could criminalize
virtually-
the other?
virtually it's a single party system where they get 70% of the vote. There's dozens of small little independent parties that will be interested in single issues, and they'll get their voice when they get a person at the table. But often that's difficult because the one party dominates 70% of the vote.
And that's not good for anyone.
And
well,
they'll get rid of the other.
But they do
parties
solve
by saying-
problems. They do solve
And they'll
problems.
get rid of the other parties by saying, "Oh, sex scandal. Oh, tax scandal," and they're gone.
But that never happens. I
Ma-
mean, how many
Right
times
now.
have the Democrats been told, your party is done, you're over with? Bill Clinton, he shouldn't have gotten that blowjob, right?
And Bill
Or
Clinton got reelected.
or the Democrats or the Republicans, you're done. That Watergate scandal was horrible. You're done. You know, this goes
And
back
Trump
and forth.
Yeah.
Yet they bound back like a boner.
The people are fickle.
You
They just
didn't like
keep
that
going-
reference?
No,
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
I'm trying to talk, and you took too long to get there. I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. All right, I close my sound effects. Otherwise, I would have given you a sound effect for it. Sorry.
Okay.
You guys love talking politics.
Well, I have a bit of anger in me, but I also have a desire to see a functional system in which both parties are working together. It's just that the
Absolutely. And there I agree.
The GOP has just done so much, though, that how do we get there? Because they ain't going to concede anything or back down. First of
No,
all,
fuck that.
first-
I want to see the country working again. So get rid of them all.
first of all,
Well, so we voted out a bunch of Republicans.
We
which
did.
Makes
Not
it better.
enough. Not enough, though.
Not enough, but you've got to take what you get.
Yeah. Now here's the
Figure
real
out how to make it work.
here's the real question, though, and this is all pure speculation. Does Trump get reelected?
Well, let's even go sooner
hope
than
not.
that. Does Nancy Pelosi get her seat back?
I'm torn over that one. I'm because I kind of felt like Nancy Pelosi is one of these people that, I don't know much about her, but she's been around a long time, and I kind of feel like we need some new blood. Why are we putting
Potentially, although I've always felt, even from the day it was brought in, Obamacare, although that's not an official name, it's kind of a pet name. It's really the Affordable Care Act.
Obama embraced
It should have been called the Pelosi Care Act
It went
because
through the House
she's the
Senate.
one that drove it in.
Yeah.
That's what she was about.
But Obama was
Oh, yeah,
behind
they only
it.
call
They were
it
all.
Of
Obama.
course, he was about it, and he signed it and whatever. But the heavy lifting was done by her. She got the people
Yeah.
together
I mean,
to bring it in.
here's the thing: is that
The only reason they call it Obamacare is because now they got something to be against.
here's the thing: you don't regain favor with the people by bringing out the same old people that were part of the party when it failed. Trump was new blood for the GOP. He was not a career politician, and he fired something up. The Democrats, their go-to is Pelosi. Really? That's the best you can bring up? Let's go back to the same person we had before? Now, the other side of that coin, though, because I'm not saying that's where I'm landing. I don't know. I'm torn. Because the other hand,
Well, who's the opposition guy?
I'm seeing a lot of pro-Pelosi articles come out lately that's saying, don't be foolish. She knows what she's doing. She's got experience. Go with the experience.
The flip side, there was an article also, I think I saw the headline this morning. I forget the number, 17 or 19 Democrats are saying, doing the Grinch.
Yeah. It's is it good that we already have this division in the Democrats? But then again, maybe we need to sort this out now. Maybe we need to figure out.
Absolutely.
You know, maybe we do have a division, and instead of trying to pretend like we don't and get behind the old guard or get the old guard out, maybe we need to battle this out right now.
Yeah, before the new Congress gets seated.
And this might take more than 2 years. I mean, here's the thing. I still don't know. I still can't figure out how the numbers work on this. That, you know, people generally vote with their party, and every seat in the House goes up, and we end up with a Republican-controlled House and a Democrat president. I don't get that. How Obama got reelected, yet the House stayed with Republicans. And I mean, gerrymandering was the best thing I could think of that contributed towards that, because that says to me that when we have
and name calling,
when we have a majority of the people saying we want the Democrat in the White House, and the majority of representatives for those people are Republican, someone's bullshitting somewhere.
Well, it's kind of like I knew a guy that was a lifelong union member, worked for the telephone company, and he voted Republican every time. It doesn't make any sense because you're voting for the party that's not with you.
Well, but
it's all down to name calling and rumoring. That's what got him.
You know, that kind of reminds me of the argument Seth MacFarlane was making, that you know, the poor people are stupid to vote against their best interest, and that they should be like him. And except that he voted the party that was against his best interest, because as a wealthy person, he should be voting GOP. And so it was kind of, someone pointed out the hypocrisy there of Seth MacFarlane criticizing the poor for voting against their own interest when he himself was voting against his own interest because he was voting for the principles he believes in.
Right.
So, you know, poor people voting Republican when it's against their best interest is not that far off from rich people voting Democrat.
Well, then the flip side is that you have
principles you believe in.
You have some people that will vote only on, say, like the abortion issue.
Yeah, there is that.
For or against or whatever.
You get people, they don't give a shit about a tax policy. They just, you know, you're killing
illegal aliens.
You know.
They're invading. Yeah. They'll kill us all.
That's
we hope.
There's hey, keep in mind, I went to a Catholic high school. That was like the one issue a lot of people would vote on.
Yeah, sure.
And you know, I've kind of my position that's evolved.
Native Americans about that one.
Anyways, the thing is though, is that are we going to get a repeat of? Are we going to get a reverse Obama here? Trump gets the re-election, Democrats keep the House. Do we think? I mean, what do we think?
I can't think that far enough ahead.
Well,
you know what I think if he does that? 1939.
1939.
Look what happened then. You know, Hitler basically got reelected.
Yeah.
And got all the people on his side, and he basically destroyed the country and most of the world.
Oh, I think Trump would like to destroy the country. I think
that's what he's trying to do.
And I think he could do a lot of damage to this country, but I don't think he can go quite as far as Hitler.
You want to bet?
Oh, I believe he's got the makings of a ruthless dictator.
Reading Mein Kampf
and I believe he's taking a jackhammer to the systems in place to keep someone like him from doing damage. But I don't think he can do enough damage to actually
liking Nazi party
destroy this country.
And having this other Nazi group going around New York violently assaulting people.
I don't think Trump is a Nazi so much as that racist
Jewish synagogues
that always shows up at your Thanksgiving dinner and just can't help himself from saying stupid racist shit. I think Trump likes support wherever he gets it from and doesn't want to piss off the Nazi supporters that are supporting him, and so he's towing that line way too much. You know. He really.
Yep. Nazis, KKK,
He-
white supremacists.
For him, it's not about principles; it's about what gets in the most votes, and he can.
Oh, absolutely. He's a game show host.
Yeah, and he doesn't mind appeasing the white supremacists. If
Not
they'll
at all. Not at all.
no, he'll take it wherever he can get it. Don't get me wrong. I do think that Trump is very bigoted and a bit racist, but I don't think he's a Nazi.
Well, it's hard to say.
I think he'll take the support of Nazis and be careful how he words that, but not too careful because he's not
He's
that
making
smart.
his own SS Gestapo.
Anyways, on that note, I think we've all learned a lot here.
Holy mackerel!
I learned
So I
how
wonder what time did we lose Doan?
when the word Trump was first said. I'm thinking.
Probably. Oop! Time to go.
Well, look at the time. This can't go on much longer. I'm not going to miss much. Click.
Why not? You went 11 hours for another argument.
Anyways, so I learned how to plumb. What did you learn, Brian?
Watching somebody plumb can be fun.
Was it? I
Yeah.
hope so.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. What about you, Venison? What did you learn?
I've learned never to have you come up and take care of my network connections.
Don't
Or if
worry.
you do, hand them each cable individually. Right?
There is that. All right. Well, anyways, once again, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for holding on through there, through all the political talk. And hey, if you like what you hear or you don't like what you hear, remember Johnny Gators at Johnny Gators on Twitter, at Brian Blues on Twitter, and at Venison88 on Twitter.
Hey,
Yeah.
don't bring me into this.
Hey, you talk politics sometimes on the Venison Stew, don't you?
So, not well. Actually, not recently, unless something really stupid happens. Other than that, I just like no. I'll stay away from it because they're doing bad all on their own.
Wait.
And we can see it.
So you only talk politics when something stupid happens. So every 5 minutes, okay.
Really stupid.
Right.
So every
Whose
5
vote
minutes,
is this?
whose vote is this? Yeah.
Right. And just rake up the leaves.
Could you? Does Trump? Trump doesn't have that filter where you think it and then you say it. Yeah. Hey, at least, yeah, sure. Your home was destroyed, but hey, you got a damaged boat that's not your property. You can't keep it all, and that's just obstructing your property out of the deal.
But that's your vote now.
No,
Your vote now.
Isn't that great? You got a boat out of the deal. It don't work like that.
Hey, did you want some paper towels?
Yeah, paper towel. You know that's. I think someone made a joke of like Trump's visit to California just made the fire worse because he was throwing paper towels at it.
Right.
Yeah, the people love it. The people love it when you throw paper towels at them. That's what the people want.
Well, it distracted him from this whole Mueller thing, so that was the whole purpose, I bet.
We think something's happening there. We keep hearing something's going to happen there, but I don't,
Well, he did claim that he wrote all the responses that were needed.
Yeah, he's on
rather than have a lawyer do it.
Here's the thing. If Mueller gets a piece of paper that was written on by crayon, then we know Trump did it himself.
Right.
It's almost done. He's on his last legs.
That joke would work better for W, though, because W was the president. I think people were likely to turn in his response.
Well, actually, maybe we have to imagine it correctly. He was answering the questions, although not personally himself, but he was working with a person that was doing it, probably a porn star that was sitting on his lap.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't want to see that. Oh. And we've come back to the dead hookers in the closet.
Oh no!
This time in the White House, in the Oval Office there. But anyways, yeah. So we learned nothing at all. Thank you for listening, and good night.
Really? Dead hooker.
What's that, Venison? You got some dead hookers there you hiding?
I don't have a basement.